But instead of just letting out a sigh of relief, he does something that leaves half the fans scratching their heads and the other half boiling with anger. Like, what on earth happened to this kid to turn him into the villain in his own house after such a tough elimination? Seriously, this is blowing up all over social media, and I'm here wondering if it was just a burst of youthful emotion or if the guy really messed up big time. Have you ever stopped to think how a reaction that lasts just a few seconds can change everything in a game like this? If that already got you curious to dive into this story, hit the like button now. It helps me a lot. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet, and turn on the bell so I can send you a notification when the next one drops. A player everyone considers a star will always be under pressure. But did Endrick really have any blame for this defeat in the French Cup quarterfinals? Look, let's put things in the right perspective here, because I know you've been thinking about this ever since you saw the comments online. The kid is a massive prospect, came from Palmeiras with the hype of being the future star of Real Madrid. But in a match like this against Lens, you can't just throw everything on his shoulders. Let's break this down step by step so you can understand where Lyon slipped up and why his reaction ended up stealing the spotlight. First, the setting. Lyon were at Groupama Stadium, packed house, needing a win to move on in the cup and break a title drought that's lasted more than a decade. They were coming off a crazy run of 13 straight wins, almost matching the record from the Juninho Pernambucano era. But they had already lost their 2 previous matches to Strasbourg and Marseille. In other words, the form was shaky, and Lens, sitting second in League One, came ready to pull off a surprise. Coach Paulo Fonseca set the team up with Endrick as the number 9, playing the full 90 minutes, but the first half was a disaster for the home side. Lens dominated with high pressing and lightning-fast counterattacks. In the 23rd minute, Florian Thauvin pounced on a rebound from goalkeeper Descamps after a play by Saud Abdulhamid and opened the scoring. It was a transition from one end of the pitch to the other that completely exposed Lyon's defense. Then, in stoppage time, came the second blow, a through ball to Abdallah Sima, who unleashed a rocket into the top corner, an absolute thunderbolt that left everyone stunned. 2-0 for Lens, and Lyon could barely create anything.
Hamid drives it in, Dicon couldn't hold it, and there is the opening goal for Lyon, scored by Florian Thauvin. Let's come forward again, Abdallah Sima into the penalty box, Sima!
They had a brief spark in the 15th minute, with a long-range shot from Tolisso that forced Risser into a good save, and Endrick tried one from distance in the 37th that the keeper handled again. But apart from that, it was all Lens. Descamps even saved a clear chance from Edouard with his foot after a simple control inside the box. But the dominance from the visitors was undeniable. In the second half, Lyon woke up a bit, but Endrick wasn't the main attacking figure. He tried to take charge with 2 of those trademark runs you used to see at Palmeiras, but he was far from deciding the game. The one who really changed the attack was Roman Yaremchuk, the Ukrainian striker who pulled one back in the 22nd minute with a header from a cross by Remy Himbert. He also smashed one off the crossbar and kept threatening with other shots. Lens dropped deeper to manage the game, but still created danger, like when Sima had a shot blocked. Endrick started appearing more as well, even taking a dangerous free kick that went just wide, and Lyon pushed like crazy until the very end. Then, in the 50th minute of stoppage time, the equalizer came. A cross into the box. Niakate flicked it on with a header. Risser misjudged the ball. Tolisso nodded it down, and Himbert finished into an empty net. 2-2, and the stadium absolutely explodes.
Ampere, it's a good ball in, and it's met by the hands of Yaremchuk. Marseille are out. Monaco are out. Lyon look to be heading out as well, but they've got an equaliser in the 94th minute.
Now it's penalties. The tension is palpable. You can almost feel it through the screen, right? Lens were perfect. Seko Fofana, Saud Abdulhamid, Mathieu Udol, Ibrahim Sangaré, and Thoven all scored. For Lyon, Adam Karabek, Tolisso, Tyler Morton, and Endrick converted their kicks. But Niakate was denied by Risser, who stepped up with the decisive save. Elimination at home, and Lens move on to the semi-finals alongside Strasbourg, Nice, and Toulouse, waiting for the draw on April 22nd. Now about Endrick. He had a solid game. 41 touches, 3 shots, with 1 actually testing the goalkeeper. But he wasn't the guy carrying the team. He barely got service in the first half, tried more in the second, but the standout was Yaremchuk. He didn't decide the match, but he wasn't the one responsible for the loss either. The entire team was neutralized by Lens's speed. And that's where his reaction during the penalties comes in. The moment that got everyone talking. He scores Lyon's last penalty, picks up the ball, and bursts into a huge celebration, running across the field, jumping, shouting, trying to fire up the crowd and goalkeeper Descamps before the opponent's final shot. Pure energy, like he was saying, "We can still believe."
And Endrick scores. Powerful strike down the middle. Powerful strike down the middle.
But that didn't sit well with some people on French social media. They thought it was completely out of place. Like that wild, unbalanced sprint celebrating while the team was still behind. Comments popped up like, "Endrick's run is insane. He's completely unbalanced. And look at him celebrating when the team is losing." Or, "Endrick is celebrating like we already won. Someone please explain the rules to him." That's what made fans angry, turning what looked like a gesture of passion into something that felt immature for the moment. But does this actually reflect something bigger about how he's adapting? Or is it just the pain of elimination talking? Because now the focus shifts to the Europa League clash against Celta in the round of 16 and the fight for a Champions League spot in League One. And I can't help wondering whether this controversy will help the kid grow or just pile on more pressure. You saw those comments from Lyon fans online, right? Calling Endrick's celebration insane, unbalanced, as if he was celebrating a victory while the team was still hanging by a thread in the shootout. Honestly, that's ridiculous. To me, that's exactly the kind of thing people say when they're bitter after a loss and need a scapegoat. The kid calmly buried his penalty, something plenty of players on that field couldn't do, kept Lyon alive in the shootout, and then let out that explosion of energy. Why? To lift you, the fans in the stadium or watching from home with your heart racing, and to give confidence to goalkeeper Descamps, who was about to face Thoven's final shot. It was like he was saying, "Hey, it's not over yet. Let's believe and push until the last second." That's a winner's instinct. It's what separates stars from ordinary players, especially in a 19-year-old who just arrived and already carries the weight of being Real Madrid's future. You know what made me think even more about this? I looked up some recent analysis, and there's a Brazilian commentator who really knows European football, Clara Albuquerque, from TNT Sports.
E aí, no meio da semana que vem, tem confronto de Europa League contra o Celta de Vigo. E é um jogo que a gente finalmente vai poder ver o Endrick estreando na competição com a camisa do Lyon, já que ele não podia ainda ser inscrito. O Lyon passou, diretamente para as oitavas de final, foi o primeiro colocado, inclusive, na fase de liga. E a gente vai ver o Endrick em campo pela Europa League. E aí tem mais uma partida pelo Campeonato Francês antes da convocação da seleção brasileira no dia 16 de março. E apesar dessa sequência aí pequena de 3 jogos ruins do Lyon, a gente imagina que o Endrick esteja lá por tudo que ele fez nessa nesse início, né, de ano com o Lyon. No jogo passado, inclusive, é a derrota contra o Marseille, um 3-2, mas que o Endrick dá 2 passes, né? Apesar da derrota do Lyon, o Endrick faz uma boa partida. O jogo de hoje foi uma partida em que o Endrick participou bastante, mas algumas tomadas de decisões, na minha opinião, erradas ali na última metade do campo. No último passe, na verdade, não deram muitas chances ao Endrick em termos de finalização. Então, o brasileiro acabou não participando de nenhum dos gols e o Lyon ficando fora, então, das semifinais.
Anyway, after all that, here's the big question. Will Endrick use this controversy as fuel to shine even brighter at Lyon, or will he let the critics get to him? Because the kid clearly has tons of talent. And if the team feeds him the ball more, just like Clara mentioned, he's the kind of player who can flip a game on his own. So tell me, do you think all this complaining actually helps? Or does it just make things harder for a young player like him? If this breakdown got you thinking, drop a like now, it helps a lot. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Go on, click it. And turn on the bell so I can send you a notification when the next video comes out. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.